Happy Pride! Ipswich and Suffolk.
Yay!
Hello, Suffolk Pride 2020.
Sending everyone my love and support for a fantastic 2020 Suffolk Pride month in June. Love the person you are.
Happy Pride.
Hi, Ipswich Pride. Go, my dears.
Just wanted to send my love and all best wishes to Virtual Pride in Suffolk, and I hope that the LGBTQ plus community has a fantastic day. Celebrate.
Suffolk Primary City Service staff, we proudly support
the LGBTQ plus community and Suffolk Pride.
Hi, for Suffolk Pride, I want us all to embrace our inner love for each other and joy and relationships. Let's just embrace love and equality for everybody. Happy Pride!
Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Adria Pittock and I am the chair of Suffolk Pride, and we are delighted to be involved with the Suffolk Mind Festival this weekend, and we're going to have a session at the moment just talking around some of the sort of mental health issues that affect the LGBTQ plus community in Suffolk at this time, and the role of Pride and Suffolk Pride and how we can help people be there for people, and what we think about Suffolk Pride going forwards. So I've got a wonderful panel with me, and I'm just going to go around the table and they can introduce themselves. Shall we start with Emily?
Hello, my name's Emily. I'm the coordinator for Evolve at Suffolk Mind, helping support people who are gender non-conforming or transitioning. Support group for them.
Thanks, Emily. Esther?
Hi, I'm Esther. I'm the events lead for Suffolk Pride, and yeah, we're just really happy to be here with Mind Festival and be talking about something that's really important to our local community, really.
Thanks, Esther. Hi, Ruben.
Hiya, so I'm Ruben and I work with Emily as a support worker for the Evolve team. Yeah, just sort of at the moment it's obviously just online support and like one-to-one over the phone and stuff. for people who are gender non-conforming or just questioning their gender or actually transitioning, or some people have completed that side but just need a little bit of support with their mental health. So that's what we do.
Okay, thanks, Ruben. And Joni.
Hello, I'm Joni. I'm the social media lead for Suffolk Pride, and my pronouns are she, her, and so I've been kind of leading Suffolk Pride in kind of trying to forge a bit more of a community, a bit more togetherness. And obviously, we've had virtual Pride over the last week, which was quite successful. So yeah, that's what I do.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joni. Yes, I should have said my pronouns also are she, her. I should have said that. If we can each, and when we speak, if we can just say what our pronouns are initially, that'd be great. So shall we kick off then and just, oh, sorry, that's my daughter walking behind you. Shall we just kick off and just say what we are currently feeling about our mental health at this time? Joni, do you want to start?
Sorry, could you just repeat that?
Yes, it was just about where we are with our mental health and what we think the sort of mental health issues are affecting the LGBTQ plus community in Suffolk at the moment.
Yeah, so I had kind of a think about this and how to kind of talk about it. And I sort of looked up some statistics, which were quite hard to come by because there isn't a massive amount of research, particularly on trans people, which is my kind of specialist area, I guess, being trans and all. I think when it comes to mental health in the LGBT community, I think the thing is that any statistics bear out the experiences of that community. And I can say from my knowledge of my section of the community, it's to be blunt, none of us don't know someone who hasn't committed suicide, and none of us don't know 3 or 4 times as many people who have tried. Obviously, that's an extreme. That's an extreme. I ran Gender Explored, a local support group for the Suffolk LGBT network for 2 or 3 years. And a lot of what we ended up doing through that was very much outreach and support with mental health. And I think the key thing here is that we're talking about an intersectionality. I have mental health issues myself. I'm diagnosed borderline personality disorder. It's highly likely I'm autistic. And at the same time, it's like, my transness is very often brought to the fore in discussions of stuff. And I my way of getting through it personally is I try and see the fun side. So, when I go to the doctor and we discuss, my mental health and how are you doing? And I'm like, well, not great. And they go, yeah, well, okay. And I go, well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, doc, if you were trans in the UK right now, you'd be depressed too. Because it is sometimes like that. And I feel that that's probably the case for a lot of people. Mental health doesn't exist in a vacuum, as I know all of us here know. And we're talking about an intersectionality when it comes to mental health and queerness or LGBTQIA identities. They can exacerbate mental health issues through feelings of otherness, feelings of low self-esteem, lack of acceptance, all that horrible soup that some of us have to deal with, some more than others. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where I come from. Like I said, my experiences with my community have borne out the statistics that I've seen. In that, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay, thank you, Joni, for sort of setting the scene. And I think you speak so clearly and so well for what we all understand to be happening. And I just wonder if other people in the group want to just respond to what Joni's saying, thinking about how can we do something to help people who are struggling with mental health? Who'd like to pick that up? Esther, do you want to have a go?
I think a key issue for Suffolk and perhaps rural areas in general is visibility, and I think having people not see themselves represented in their community does have an effect on your mental health. And I think, I mean, for Suffolk Pride, I think that's something that we're aiming towards. And one reason why we wanted to do virtual Pride was to retain visibility in our community and make sure people felt that they were seen and heard and listened to during lockdown, when mental health is such a thing for everyone. So yeah, I think from Suffolk Pride, all we can do is just, say we're here and point people in the direction of groups and organisations that are there to support people.
Yeah, thanks, Esther. I'd certainly second that from Suffolk Pride. That is really what we feel we're here for, is to provide people with a space so that they can feel that they're not on their own and that there are others out there. And even if Suffolk Pride itself hasn't got the answers, we generally have enough communications and contacts with people and organisations like Suffolk Mind and the Evolve Trans Group that we can help point people in the right direction if they need to. Do you want to pick that up, Emily and Ruben?
Yeah, it's just, I feel since virtual Pride has become a thing, that actually there's been more support in a way. We've been more conscious and we've thought about our community more. Whereas when we have when we have Suffolk Pride, we have the day and it's wonderful, and so we all work towards that. But for people that go to Pride, it's kind of Pride's the day and then it's done for another year. Where with this, I think it's really lovely because we're involving all parts of our community, and we're very much making sure that everyone is okay. And it is very hard for people to reach out right now, especially if people are on their own and all they're dealing with every day is their thoughts that maybe they're not good enough, maybe they're, I've had lots of different service users say, very negative things that are going on in their head. I'm really sorry, my cat is and these very awful things, how they're feeling. And a lot of them are not wanting to do Zoom either, because obviously with trans or gender non-conforming, there is an element of body dysmorphia there. So you don't want to just keep looking at yourself all the time. So it's wonderful that there's these options here where we're having these chats and people can join in, and I think that's really, really wonderful. And hoping that gives people a bit more confidence and that they feel significant, because I think that's something that not everyone feels.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Emily. Thank you. I think that's a really important point, isn't it? That Pride, and I think this is something that Suffolk Pride has learned this year, that instead of just having, one day, we shouldn't just be having one day of Pride. We're here all day, every year, and we should be being celebrated for that, and we should be able to be open about who we are all the time. And I think the virtual platform actually, and the work that Joni's been doing with us in Suffolk Pride, really helps us just reach such a wider audience. And like you say, people who may not be comfortable with coming out on the waterfront and waving lots of rainbows, and even people who can't cope with the noise and the whole mental sort of over stimulation that's going on with all of that. It's great to be able to provide other options for people to get involved, and that's a really important lesson I think that Suffolk Pride's learned this year, and certainly one we want to take forward. How about Ruben? Do you want to come in on what Emily's just said or what Joni said?
Yeah, I mean, they both made really, really good points. It's kind of, in a way, it's a bit of a blessing that we can do the virtual thing, because it has opened up the doors, especially to younger users who can, access the internet and stuff. But in a kind of double-edged sword, I suppose, it has isolated maybe some of the older LGBTQ plus members, because if they don't have access to the internet, or if like Emily said, if they don't the good thing is you can turn, so I can do that, so I can't see myself. So if I did have dysphoria or anything, I can stop that from constantly, because you are just there constantly, so it is difficult if you do have those issues. But yeah, it does isolate some of the the older perhaps members of society who aren't on the internet or who don't have access as freely. Like, they might be able to go to a library, for example, but that's not 24/7 support. That's just when the libraries are open. I don't even know if they are open at the moment, but yeah. So I suppose but it has in return opened the doors to a lot of younger users who possibly didn't maybe have the confidence to come in person, but can feel, they have that safety of being behind a keyboard or not having to physically be in the room. So yeah, I think it's a double edge, but it is a positive thing that we are offering support more than just on that one day.
Yeah, thanks, Ruben. Joni.
Yeah, I mean, something I didn't really mention before. I mean, when it comes to support, you've got the sort of more official medical forms of support. You've got the mental health services, which are being really, really strained. Obviously, there's been budget cuts all over the place. I know we were talking earlier about your organisation, Emily, and Ruben is currently facing some issues with budget cuts and something of an uncertain future, perhaps. And I think the thing that I've really noticed myself, I've been out 7 years this December. The thing that I've really noticed is that I've become part of very much a network of queer people that we all look after each other, which is lovely. It is lovely and it's good. However, the thing I've noticed under situations such as COVID, under situations such as economic crises and bad things like that happening, is that net gets strained, because you've got a net that's made up of people who are all facing their own interlinked individual kind of issues. We're all a bunch of people with mental health issues supporting each other through each other's mental health issues, and that has its advantages. However, to give you an example, I have a friend of mine who fits the criteria for bipolar disorder perfectly. She's bisexual, and she was in a depressive state last week, and needed to have one of us with her at all times. We phoned round every service in Suffolk that was available that she was known to, and got bumped to another service and another service. We ended up going back to her GP, and we got sent to A&E. A&E got the crisis team, and they refused to see her. And there comes a point where there's only so much you as people can do, and I think there's only so much as an organisation necessarily you can do. I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but from what I gather, at Evolve, you're not necessarily a crisis organisation. You're a support network, and that's essential. That's part of the foundation, the brickwork. But the problem that I'm seeing in Suffolk, and I'm experiencing myself and seeing other people, is that the services are so incredibly stretched that it's nigh on impossible to get anything seen. I mean, my friend still hasn't been seen by a psychiatrist. She's still not medicated for bipolar disorder. She fits all of the ICD and DSM-5 criteria for it to a T. And the thing that we've both experienced, her partner is non-binary, and that involves explanation when you go into the mental health services. So I think it's quite important to discuss the provision of the services and the fact that they're just not there. And there are wonderful people who work within those services who are great. But I think the other thing to discuss is the intersection of being LGBTQIA within those services. So, for example, if I had counselling, I had a series of 10 counselling sessions a couple of years ago, and literally like the first 5, maybe 7 of those counselling sessions involved me teaching the counsellor gender theory, queer theory, running through all of the typical kind of 101 questions. And that stuff can be learned. But I think that's a really key thing. Is I think we need to really talk about the provision of services and how accessible they are versus and also, sorry, not versus, and also the quality of the services for queer people there. You know, I'm very often asked invasive questions as a trans person that are not relevant to my treatment. You know, it's and there is no liaison with the experts within the community, the gender identity clinic, because they are stupidly overstretched. It's difficult, and I mean, I there's not a solution really bar expanded funding. I mean, you know, something I've become more aware of since I've moved back to Suffolk this year has been that the model in the local community mental health services seems to be more a multidisciplinary team meeting approach rather than actually meeting the patient. So, you know, me and my friend have both had this thing where they've said, we're going to have a meeting about you tomorrow with all of the people, and then we'll tell you what we've got. And what they've got actually turns out to be, for me, was nothing. And for her was, well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. But neither of us have been seen by a psychiatrist. So I think there's two discussions here. There's one is the quality of queer experiences within mental health services, and I think the other one is the actual provision of mental health services. Obviously, you know, mental health issues are higher. There's more of them, higher comorbidity within queer communities. And I feel like I've been talking for a really long time now, so I'm probably going to end there because I'm kind of just going around in circles. But yeah,
I think you've made some really important points there, actually. And I mean, I think it's interesting with Pride, isn't it? Suffolk Pride, and Pride initially started off as a protest movement. I think there's still areas of work that we need to be pushing. You know, we do still need to keep pushing the doors, and we should be lobbying and campaigning, like you say, not just for more access to more services for our community, but and making sure that those services are providing the quality that's needed. I mean, you know, Suffolk Mind, presumably this is an area that you've been working on for a long time, and you keep pushing, trying to get progress. I mean, where are you at with this?
So, I mean, in an ideal world, me and my boss spoke this morning. In an ideal world, we'd have more than one day a week. So we would have time to network, and hopefully, in the future, if the Evolve gets picked back up, there's a few little things that are in discussion. So going forward, I would love to be able to provide something that enables us to go and teach, or enables us to maybe write a booklet and send it out to GPs, send it out, you know, the IDTs, the NSFT, you know, all the different mental health services, and say, like, here is an overview, read it. If you've got any problems, call us. Like, you know, because actually, you know, to them, if they mispronounce someone, they will just brush it off. I don't think that people realise the impact that can have on someone's well-being if something so simple as just paying attention to their notes, the documentation, and to the service user that they're seeing. And I'd love to be able to move forward with Evolve. Obviously, the last 3 months we've not been able to provide any life skills because it's been a virtual support group, and it's been quite tough because we've not had many people want to interact due to the camera and their low self-esteem. So we've been doing a lot of emails and things like that. But I feel that if we were given the chance, and Evolve could step up and have more than one day a week, maybe even an evening time, enable people the support and help give them the voice and allow people to know their rights. It would be nice to think that might lower the numbers on the need for the crisis team. You'll never lower the numbers for IDT, you'll never lower numbers for NSFT, but when it comes to a crisis, it would be nice to be able to provide our service users with the toolkit. And that's what we have been doing since we launched. Hopefully moving forward, this isn't the end for us, and we can carry on providing people with a toolkit to get through the darker days.
I'd quite like to also expand, and like you mentioned briefly, Emily, about like training and stuff. Because I mean, from someone who like Joni has experienced, being trans in the mental health side of things, there is even the stigma that comes from the professionals as well. So I would quite like to expand and even provide like a small training for like the GPs so that they know what they're doing. I mean, when I came out 5 years ago, my GP didn't even know where to start, and I had to go off and do all the research myself and kind of go back and say, look, this is what you have to do. You need to refer me here, this, that, and the other. And they were like, oh, okay. I thought I had to send you counselling for 10 sessions and go from there, kind of thing. So there's just no. It's an education thing. I mean, I also work for NSFT, and the trans awareness training that they provided was just awful, to put it bluntly. And it just needs not necessarily redoing, but just having a more empathetic approach to it. And rather than just, cisgender people writing what they think needs to be trans awareness, actually speak to trans people and see. Like, just the fact that, and some of the questions that the audience were asking, who were doctors and psychologists, and that they're just ignorant questions that were being asked, and you just think, you're the professionals that are looking after these people, and you just haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
So yeah. So as long as supporting our
Yeah.
service users, we need to support the professionals who are also supporting like the service users.
Yeah. Esther, do you want to pick up anything that you've heard so far?
I mean, there's just another, intersection to add, which is race, I guess, and that Black people are currently the most likely to have poor mental health and the least likely to get mental health support. And obviously that, that intersects what we were saying earlier, it's being, gender non-conforming and being Black are not two separate things, like that, for so many people, that, that's, who they are. And so that support to not have that support must be awful. I mean, I can't speak too much for Black non-conforming people, but just to recognise that that's just an added issue.
Thank you, Esther. I mean, I think what I'm hearing is something about allies, and even though, those of us who, even if we're in what part of the community we're in, or even if we're outside the community, we are an ally, there's so much that needs to be done to enable LGBTQI voices to be heard, and for us all to be campaigning for better services and, like you say, better educated GPs and all the rest of it. Because actually, ultimately, that's going to benefit all of us. And there's a really long way to go here, and these are arguments I've been hearing and discussions I've been hearing for the last 2, 3, 4 years. It's still, we need, there's so much more that needs to be done. And I think, again, we as Suffolk Pride, all we can do is you can just try to provide a forum for people to hear their voices, and we just keep campaigning, and we'll just keep battling on. That's really what we're about, isn't it? Joni, should we go back to you?
I'm not really sure if I have anything to add, to be honest. I mean, I think an additional thing that we've not really touched on is alcohol and substance abuse, which is very, very high. Again, I don't think anybody in the community of my kind of age, of being 30 something, doesn't know somebody who has some kind of alcohol or substance abuse problem. It's a coping method, and I think it's really easy to slip into. And I think just as with mental health, I think there's an intersection that's tricky to deal with that. Places that may be welcoming to straight people or cis people maybe aren't so welcoming to people who are gender non-conforming. You know, and yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. It's a really difficult one. I think, you know, I think the key thing is that we remain together. At the moment, obviously, we've spent a long period of time apart. We haven't been able to meet up in person. Y'all haven't had your Evolve group on. You know, I've not hugged my friends, which is like, sounds like a really, really like simple thing, but that physical connectedness is so important. You know, I know a lot of people who are currently separated from their partners. I know a lot of people who are currently in households where they are not respected, their gender isn't respected, or their sexuality isn't respected because they're holed up with relatives, families who perhaps don't fully understand the harm that they're causing through their views and through the way they treat people. And I think that's, you know, when it comes to the intersection of COVID and with mental health and queerness, I think like there's a lot to be said for the things that we realise are important that we didn't know were important before now. I, for one, know that I need people more than I realised. I also need exercise more than I realised, but that's something else. You know, and I think the thing is, and the thing that I really want to do with Suffolk Pride going forward is I really want to create an environment where people can come and feel seen and feel respected and feel validated, and not just through Suffolk Pride, the event itself, but in general. I mean, we run the largest LGBT Facebook page in the county of Suffolk. It's a low bar, admittedly, but yeah, and I think the thing is you know, I consider what we do on the internet with Suffolk Pride to be a queer-friendly LGBTQA venue. I mean, Lord knows, like, I know in Ipswich we have no queer venues at the moment. Yeah. Even pre-COVID, you know, we had maybe one club which was relatively LGBTQA friendly if you went on the right night, and a pub that was the same if you went on the right night. You know, that there isn't anywhere you can go and be safe, and that's and even then, you know, I know my close friend Leo George, who runs the Queer Craftivism sessions, you know, is very, very up and aware of the importance of alcohol-free spaces and spaces that are available during the day. You know, spaces that allow queer parents to come with kids. You know, I think the really, really important thing, and I think, you know, we've got a lot of time for introspection at the moment, and I imagine, you know, over Evolve, y'all are also, you know, thinking about where do you go next with it and stuff. And I mean, I know I've been thinking, you know, where do I go next with you know, creating a space, because I'm determined to create a LGBTQIA friendly space in Ipswich. I'm not sure how to yet, but I want that to happen, and I am intending to restart a trans and gender non-conforming support group in Ipswich, because there is a need for it. You know, I think we've got time right now to pause and think about what spaces there aren't, what spaces are needed. And yeah, you know, most of us don't have the ability to open a pub or a bar or a club, you know, but if you go and talk to spaces, very often they're up for allowing you the use of their space after hours or in the afternoon, or you know,
cool.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking too much again.
No, that's great, Joni. I think that's everything you're saying is really pertinent. Thank you. I'm just conscious of time. I think we'd better wrap up in a minute or so. So I just don't know if we want to go around the table with any sort of final thoughts or messages for people out there that are listening. Esther?
Yeah, I just, you know, from Suffolk Pride, like we're here for our LGBT community in Suffolk, and to show you off to the rest of Suffolk, because you're all amazing and we want you to be seen and celebrated. And we're here for to direct you to any support you might need, and yeah, anything you want to see in Suffolk for your community. We're here to listen and hopefully facilitate that for you.
Brilliant, thank you, Esther. And Ruben and Emily, last word from Mind.
Stay safe, and use us. We are open until the end of July. I'm still on board till the end of July, so just contact Mind if you need to. There's Snow, there's so many other services that are out there to support you. It is hard going through anything like with your transitioning or anything like that, but for all coming first, you're human, and that's where you need the help and the support. It doesn't matter on your gender, your sexuality, anything like that. If you're feeling low, you're human and you need help. It doesn't matter where you get it.
Thank you, Emily. Ruben, anything from you?
Just to reiterate what Emily said, really, just reach out. There are people who will listen, and don't think that your voice isn't worth listening to, because it is.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ruben, and thank you, everybody. And yeah, we're all looking forward to Suffolk Pride next year. And as Esther said, please get in touch with us. Let us know what you want. We're here to provide a space for you, and we want to hear your voice. So stay safe, everybody, and take care, and enjoy the rest of the festival. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hello, my name is Adria Pittock, and I am proud to be the chair of Suffolk Pride, Suffolk Virtual Pride 2020. I wanted to take this opportunity to say we're having Suffolk Pride 2020, which is absolutely fantastic, because in this weird period of lockdown and all that sort of stuff, it seemed like we wouldn't be doing anything, but we have picked up an amazing crew of people who are really keen to bring Suffolk Pride alive for us in a virtual format on Facebook in 2020, which is fantastic. So I'm going to take this opportunity just to introduce Suffolk Pride and just say a bit about why I am involved in Suffolk Pride. So I've actually lived in Suffolk now for a very long time. I think it's about 30 years, which is longer than I've lived anywhere else. I work for Suffolk County Council, so I have a really strong involvement in what's happening in Suffolk County life, I suppose. I have raised my kids here. I had my children here in Ipswich, and they grew up in Suffolk, and I came out in Suffolk. So it's really been where a lot of things have happened, and I absolutely love Suffolk, and it is so important that we have pride here for everybody in Suffolk. So just a little bit then about why I am involved in Suffolk Pride and why Suffolk Pride is important. So we had Suffolk Pride, well, the last time I was involved in Suffolk Pride was 2014, and my involvement then was around being part of Suffolk County Council and getting the councillors and getting the LGBT staff network involved in Suffolk Pride, and that was a terrific event. But then we didn't have any Pride for a long time, and in 2019, 50 years on from the Stonewall riots in 1969, it was absolutely imperative that we would have Pride in Suffolk. And what we need to do, and what the Suffolk Pride team are really keen to do, is make sure that we have a Pride in Suffolk every single year going forward. We want to make it a sustainable thing, and make sure that for our community and for everybody else, Suffolk Pride is a really regular annual feature in Suffolk. So the reason why we need a Pride, obviously, because this is not just for LGBT people, it's for our allies, it's for our friends, it's for our family, it's for everybody. And anybody that was involved with Suffolk Pride last year would have seen just the amazing sort of, I don't know, upsurge, outpouring, upwelling, whatever it is, of support for our community. And it was such a positive event for Suffolk, with everybody coming together and having a really good day, and really recognising that we are all just people getting on with our lives, and that we all have every single right to be doing that. And so this is why it's so important to keep going with this. So Pride is a celebration of who we are. But it's not just that. Obviously, there are some real issues that still affect the LGBTQ community in Suffolk and everywhere else, and we really have to make sure that we keep those issues alive. And we owe it to our our predecessors who had the rights in New York in 51 years ago now, and they protested against the police that were raiding the Stonewall Inn, and they stood up and they said enough is enough. And I think it's important to note that many of the people that did that, in fact the leaders of that protest movement, were in fact black trans women. And so this movement has always been a joint black, Asian, I don't know, everybody together, male, female, trans. It's just a movement that has involved everybody through so long, and it still is going on. So we still have a way to go, and the things that I think I just want to pick up that we're still working on, that we still need to work on going forward, are things like the Gender Recognition Act and the support and recognition that is still so much needed for our trans friends and colleagues in this community. We need to do something so much more as well about LGBT people seeking asylum in this country. That's a massive issue. And thinking about international type issues, you know, we are so lucky that we have these rights and recognition that we have in this country. That is obviously not the case for so many people in other parts of the world. And it is absolutely our duty to carry on holding that flame, bearing that flame, and making sure that we do continue to fight for people all over the world, for LGBTQ people all over the world. In this country also, we are still working to reduce hate crime. This is an issue that is important for many of our community. We still need to raise the profile about mental health services and mental health issues for people in our community. This is again another really important issue. And we want to support and make sure that we are so much better about including our black and Asian and minority ethnic community. We have just been really slow with that, and we have not had enough involvement with our black community, and that has to change. And we're really delighted actually that with Suffolk Pride we had last year and this year we are involving so many more of our black friends in this movement. And I think, like I said, that those are the sort of key issues that are just the ones that are in my mind right now. There are many others, and these are the things that we need to just make sure we keep fighting for. So Suffolk Pride is for everyone. Like I say, it's everybody in the LGBT community and their friends and allies and our families, and it's to enable us to be out and proud about who we are and being able to be free to be who we are wherever we want to be doing that. And it's about making sure that we have an environment, have a space that is safe, where we feel supported and where we can be well. So that's what Suffolk Pride is about, and that's what it's working for. And that's what we want to be achieving with Suffolk Pride, Suffolk Virtual Pride 2020. So I welcome you to our Pride. And I really look forward to hoping you're going to be involved, and hopefully seeing you, showing your support by getting involved in our video and parading from home, waving flags, having, I don't know, singing songs, dancing, doing whatever you want to do. Just sending us messages of support would be absolutely brilliant. I think we're going to have a great day on the 27th of June. And so if you just get involved in our Facebook page, that's where we are most lively, but also we're on Instagram and Twitter, etc., etc. So please get involved. Welcome to Suffolk Pride 2020, and I really look forward to a fantastic day. Okay, thanks.